Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Tommy T. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be reviewing Bel-Air, the new rendition of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm a huge fan of Bel-Air, so I found it fitting. I'm a huge fan of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so I found it fitting just to review Bel-Air. If you haven't watched it, it comes on Peacock on Thursdays. And this one, we're going to review episode 1 through 3 because that's how they released it. So let's get into it. So first off, Bel-Air is a dramatic rendition of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a sitcom from the 90s, if you don't know, but most people know, and I grew up watching it and I love it. This Bel-Air is like crazy as far as like the idea of it and everything like that. So let's get into this, man. So you still got the original characters: Will Smith, Jazz, Jeffrey, Aunt Viv, Hillary, Uncle Phil, Ashley, and Carlton. Basically, in episode 1, it starts out with Will at home in Philly, waking up. They showing more of his mom in this one, as far as like it's basically the intro credits to the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that's what I find myself doing a lot. It's just going through and, oh, that's the same, that's different, that's the same between the two, because it's almost like they got the base idea or the foundation of the show and then just went in and redid everything and made it so much more dramatic. And I don't want to say realistic because realistically both could happen, but it's like a modern day version of it. So that's what's also cool. One thing, Will is good at basketball in this one, and he was getting scouted from D1 schools and stuff like that. But the fight is what's the most interesting part of the whole show to me, because Will and his friend Trey were challenged by a random guy they used to go to school with who's now a drug dealer, and it's like he can beat Will and blah this and blah that. So Will's like, I can't let it go, I gotta do what I gotta do. Trey basically beats up with him, trying to talk him out of it, says he brought a gun for protection when they went to the park to play these guys. So the head drug dealer, Rashad, I think is his name, came and like gave a bet. Like he bet them $2,000 if they win, but if they lose, they got to come work for him. That was my first pause. It was because I don't understand why, if I do something illegal, I'm not going to force somebody to work for me to do something illegal that possibly could get me in more trouble. I just feel like that's a bad business plan on Rashad's part. But anyway, I digress. Will and Trey actually win the basketball game. They're happy. Boom, boom, boom. The dude that challenged them and lost, I do not remember his name, but it's irrelevant after this basketball game, actually threw the ball. Have no clue how the ball hit Rashad, because he threw the ball at Will and it never hit Will. It hit Rashad, and Rashad was like, who hit me? If you remember the original version of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you'll see Will getting in a fight, getting picked up, spent around and stuff like that. Well, the picking up and spinning around didn't happen this way. Will, like, basically Rashad was like, who threw it? And Will got up, was like, nobody threw the ball, you just mad, boom, boom, boom. and Rashad like bucked at him, and Will punched him. That started a whole fight. When Will punched Rashad, the gang beat up Trey, and like they was ganging him, and so Will runs back to the bag, gets the gun, shoots the gun in the sky, and everybody runs and scatters. Then he pulls the gun out on Rashad. Now I'm saying this because it's important and it's vital to the whole series, it seems like, or at least through episode 3. So, police come, Will gets locked up for having his handprints on a gun and stuff like that. But Rashad can't let it go. Rashad's like, I'm gonna get you, and basically threatens his life. Will's nervous, scared, spends the night in jail. Uncle Phil somehow gets him out, and Will gets out. Rashad is in there with him, and he's like, oh, he's snitching. So that's even more fuel to the fire. So Will basically gets out, gets in the car with his mom, and gets shipped to LA, to Bel-Air. That's pretty much Will's experience in Philly so far. So what happens next is, I think, is vital to the relationship building between Will and the rest of the characters, because unlike the first one, we never really knew how Will met Jazz in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But in this one, Will met Jazz. Jazz actually took Will to Uncle Phil's and Aunt Viv's house. And this Jazz is, like I was explaining yesterday to my wife, like this Jazz is more prolific or forward thinking than the Jazz that we thought. But the Jazz that from the series was also very forward thinking, but in a comedic way. This one is more serious. And as they was heading down to the mansion, the Banks residence, Jazz Will asked him to pull over, and Jazz told him, don't let this city eat you alive, or basically don't let it change you. I was like, that makes sense. That's a good bit of advice to somebody fresh out of the, one way of living to LA. We all think of LA being this great place and big place and stuff like that, of hopes and dreams and stuff. So, what else happened? We make it to the mansion. You meet Jeffrey for the first time. Jeffrey is completely different from the Jeffrey from Fresh Prince. Instead of saying he's the butler, he's the house manager, which, I mean, that's cool. And then as the episode goes on, you see that Jeffrey it's a friendship between Uncle Phil and Jeffrey versus, Uncle Phil's the boss and Jeffrey's the worker type deal. But Will meets Jeffrey. Jeffrey pays Jazz. Jazz is like, at that point, you can tell, or we know that Jazz and Will are going to become friends and, continue to work together and stuff like that. Will also goes in. He's finally at the mansion. He's blown away by how big it is and stuff like that. I was trying to figure out what's the time frame between the last time they saw each other. And you get there, Will meets Aunt Viv first. She welcomes him in the home. And when she welcomes him there, she tells him, hey, you're here. Try to get along with everybody, and the kids will meet him and stuff like that. And they were having a party for Uncle Phil. And Hillary comes in, she meets him. He's like, oh, here, boom, boom. Happy to meet her. And Hillary actually is a great cook. Unlike the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the series, Hillary was kind of like, ditzy and just free you know. But on this one, she's like social media, growing in her social media. She's a cook, and that's her thing. You know, she's basically a great chef. So she's trying to grow that. Viv doesn't believe in it. And Will is like, yo, kind of supporting her in that range. So Hillary takes Will upstairs to get him dressed in Carlton's clothes, and they're still taking jabs at Carlton. He bought some suits that he never grew into. Uncle Phil actually took a jab at Carlton too. It was too funny. But he never grew into his suits. And so Will was able to wear his suit. And of course, the iconic, I'm going to wear my suit with my sneakers on. That's what Will did. Went to the party. He saw Uncle Phil, went straight to him. Uncle Phil was talking to some people. Went to him, told him thank you and everything. They'll talk later. When I put two and two together, it was when Will met Ashley. Ashley basically is 12 years old, and he was like baby Ash. And so I was at least thinking that, he called her a baby. So last time he saw her, she must have been a baby. So I'm like 2 or younger, or maybe even 1 or younger the last time he saw her. So we're looking at this time frame between, I'm going to say 9 to 11 years, being the last time that he saw her, or saw them, because previously he was like, when Will's mom told them that he was moving to LA, he was like, we don't even talk to them, you know? So, that's why the time frame of when they saw each other, or, last saw each other, was so important to me, trying to figure that part out. So, Will is just getting acclimated to them, their lifestyle and everything like that. So currently he's met everybody, or linked up with everybody except Carlton. Carlton comes up, and, the first thing he says is, you're wearing my clothes. If you're going to wear them right. Fixes his cufflink. And then he's like, you're here for a reason. And they told us it's just for you to get a better school, better education, but it's something else. And, he's going to figure it out. That's where you can see the dynamic between Carlton and Will, and where they're not going to get along, and how evil Carlton can be. It's almost the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, with the dynamic between Will and Carlton was a clashing dynamic, but it is not as clashing as this one is, So, so Carlton meets him and everything, but they threw a twist in there with Lisa. Lisa is Carlton's ex-girlfriend, as we come to find out. And Carlton is not over, or doesn't like, and you can kind of tell that in the beginning when they like really get to each other or talk to each other. Carlton doesn't like Lisa talking to Will, and so that's fire to the flame. So after everything, Trey, Will's friend back in Philly, calls Will and tells him there's a hit out on them from Rashad. Rashad is trying to get them. He's looking for them and stuff like that. So that puts Will on alert, and he's trying to get back to Philly. The first thing I was wondering was like, what are you going to do? What is he going to do once he gets back to Philly? And how is he going to fix the situation? Because Trey was like, get back. You need to fix this and everything like that. And I'm like, what can he do? So it's funny. He like basically calls Jazz to come pick him up. Jazz comes, but, they never left because it's cameras everywhere. Uncle Phil and Jeffrey saw him. So they went out, told him to come back in the house. Talked to him. Uncle Phil told Will, like, give it a try. Like, try it out here. He knows it's completely different, boom, boom, boom. But try it, see what happens. You may just succeed. That's the biggest thing that they've been saying. Hey, try it out here. Like, it's an opportunity of a lifetime for anybody to be able to come out and, get her, go to one of the top schools in the city, or I think they was like, this is one of the top schools in the country, one of those, and then, be able to excel. Like, we all know education, it helps, having a good education helps a lot, but then just having that opportunity that Hillary, Ashley, and Carlton has, I mean, like, everybody should want that opportunity. And Will's still trying to not change. Its focus is, I need to get back to Philly, So Uncle Phil was telling him, hey, give it a trial here, see what happens. You never know if you may like it, After that, Carlton and Will go to the school. Like, in this one, Carlton is the man at the school, and he's on the lacrosse team. So once they get to the school, Will's like, what am I supposed to do? Carlton's like, don't embarrass me. So Will walks over to the swimming pool. He sees Lisa, a familiar face. He goes over there and, talks to her for a little minute. And then next scene, he goes into the locker room where they're listening to Bobby Shmurda, and Carlton is in the middle dancing and everything, but all the white guys are saying nigga to, it's in every, part of the song, and Will breaks that up. Like, yo, you can't say that. And him and Connor, I think, gets into a argument, and Connor gets into his face and stuff, and Carlton's like, chill out. It's not that, it's not serious. Will's like, why you letting them say the N-word? Which I think it's a conversation to have between people, just because it's like, yeah, dog, you can't say the N-word. Like, bleep it, say N-word, say something else, but don't say the N-word. Like, yeah, it's just, it nigga has so much power in it, and it's such a degrading word for it. It was such a degrading word for so long. In America, it's like, why? Like, Carlton's looking at it as, oh, it's just a word. It's just a word, but it has so much meaning behind it. And like, I have to side with Will on that. It's like, stop being a sellout, Carlton. Like, they're not supposed to say it, and Carlton's just jamming along, shucking and jiving with these guys, looking like a token. So Will, they got into it about that, and Will walks out, and they get back to the house, and they're still arguing about it. Will's like, Carlton's like, it's just a word. Will's like, no, you can't say it. Boom, boom, boom. Find out Carlton snorts Xanax, which brings a lot of questions up. Where did that come from, for one thing? But Will, the one, found that out. Will never said anything. He said he wasn't gonna snitch. The end of the show, man, they was at one of the parties, pool parties or beach party. That Connor, over Connor's house, I believe. And what happened there? Oh, Carlton saw, like, basically the plan was for Carlton and Will to go to the party, but go their separate ways. And, whenever it's over, they'll, drive back, and the parents will be happy. So Carlton left Will. Will went over and saw Lisa. So Will spent his time with Lisa at the party. Carlton was getting high, drinking, and he saw that. And I don't know if it was real or not, but he basically saw them kissing, or that's what he saw, but I don't think that's what they were doing. And he pushed Will into the pool. Will can't swim. So Lisa and Carlton was like, Lisa was like, what are you doing? Boom, boom. Carlton was like, you need to leave him alone. Carlton's pissed because Will is possibly can talk to Lisa. Lisa likes him. So Lisa jumps in and saves Will. And when Will got out the pool, he was trying to catch his breath. But when he caught his breath, because I think Carlton was like, oh, he's faking it. He's faking it. He's trying to get attention. And at that point, I was like, Carlton needs his ass whooped. And Will got up, punched Connor because Connor tried to stop him for some reason. I don't understand that part. And then you can see him swinging at Carlton and the episode ends. I'm going to go straight through with between episode 1, 2, and 3. Try to get this thing done so we can catch up with episode 4. So episode 2 starts off with Will beating Carlton up. Like, Carlton had no chance. We've all seen a fight like that before, where the person that started the fight definitely lost the fight. So question comes up to me about that whole Carlton's drug addiction is, does Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv know about it? Just because they kind of run over the idea that their children, basically Will and Carlton, was at a drug and alcohol party. Like, because Uncle Phil was like, Connor's mom not going to press charges because he basically was like, but your kid, you allowed underage kids basically to be at a party with alcohol and drugs. So that makes me wonder, like, do they know about Carlton's addiction and stuff like that? In this episode, Will finally gets to Bel-Air Academy. You know, he showed up. Like, first off, Carlton left him, so Aunt Viv told him to give it a go. You have to apologize to him just because, you know, like, you beat him up in front of his people. So Carlton left him. He got the keys from Aunt Viv, gets to school. Now he's, you know, walking around school, not knowing anybody. And so he has to kind of like be that new kid at the school by himself because Carlton is not fooling with him. Everybody knows about the fight between him and Carlton as well. So they're not, you know, not really checking for him. They know of him, but they don't really know him. So he's walking, trying to speak to everybody. Nobody's speaking back to him. Will goes to a classroom. He's trying to find where he's supposed to be. Obviously, we know he doesn't know. And the security guard is like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. So it triggers him, which is understandable when you go through a traumatic experience like that with police. Anybody of authority would trigger you. So Will decides to run. Will runs into the auditorium where Carlton was giving his speech to the class because he's the class president. As we said, Carlton is king around Bel-Air Academy. So he interrupts the Carlton, and Carlton then proceeds to embarrass Will by asking him about his school. Do they have AP classes? Do they get to study abroad and all this and all that? And it's like, he was like, well, maybe we should, instead of trying to save like the planet or something, he said. He didn't say save the planet, but maybe instead of trying to do that, let's go to an inner school and donate money there. And that's a dynamic that I always like. It's a real dynamic between the haves and the have-nots, and it really shouldn't be that way. Like, things should like kind of be a little bit more level as far as like what's offered to kids that don't have it versus the kids that do. Because it seems like it's like one of the most unfair things. Like, and both of them have their positives, you know what I'm saying? Having it puts you in a position to where you you are exposed to a lot more things a lot earlier. Not having it puts you where you work harder for the things that you earn and the things that you have. So I definitely felt how Will felt in that moment. He's like, man, that's messed up. So after that, Uncle Phil is actually doing an interview with Big Boy, the radio station, and pretty much everybody's like, "You're loaded." He's running for DA. I know I didn't say that, but nobody's asking like what he is, about the issues and the stuff that he's running on. Everybody's just like, man, you got money. And want to know how much he has and stuff like that. And that bothers him as far as like his will and like feeling like he's sold out, because a lot of people feel that way. In this episode, Will talks to the basketball coach, trying to find his spot. Like Viv said, find your place and run it like you always do. Trying to find his place, and basketball is his thing. So he talks to the coach, but the issue that he has, basketball is a trigger as well, just like the security guard for him. Like he was playing basketball when, the police roughed him up and locked him up and everything like that. So that's a trigger for him. He figured it out that he was struggling because he was playing basketball with Jazz. But Uncle Phil is the one that actually talked to him and was like, hey, get out of your head and, play ball like you can play, like you can play. So he did that. He has a tryout to do with the team. At school the next day, Carlton actually stopped Will to try to fight him in front of everybody. Will did the most grown-up thing he could possibly do, which is walk away. Carlton didn't understand that, and he was just trying to, just trying to get Will in trouble. Like it's weird how bad like Carlton is like disliking Will, and Will really hadn't done anything. Will tries out for the team, makes the team. His friend, he met a friend, Tyler, who plays basketball as well, that kind of helped him figure out how to really make the team. It seemed like he was already going to make the team. It's just he had to be there. But the weird thing is, after he made the team, the security guard just went up to him and was like, let me check your bag. That bothered me just because it's like, who told this man, or who gave this man the heads up to check Will's bag, because he, thinking that he had some type of drug in there. And it's like, that ain't right. No, you can't check my bag. But Will let him check it. He found some white substance in the Ziploc bag. And, basically it was Connor who did it. And Carlton's like, oh, you overstepped. So that's the end of episode 2. So in episode 3, it starts off with Will being questioned by Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil about where you got the drugs. Nobody's believing that they're not his. They was questioning Carlton too. And Will named the 2 suspects he thought, either Connor or Carlton, and Carlton denied it, but we all know that it was Connor who put the drugs in there. Aunt Viv has a party to get ready for her sorority, and asks Hillary to be the cook for it, because Hillary has, at this point in episode 2, I didn't mention it, but Hillary tried to get a job at a very high, I guess, I don't really know what type of company this was. It's like a food company, like I guess a restaurant or something. I don't know. But she basically didn't take the job because of them wanting to change her. So we fast forward back to episode 3. Her mom is like, Aunt Viv is like, hey, like, cook for us, boom, boom, boom. You never know what opportunity may lie in doing that. So she does that, and everybody's having fun. Thinks Hillary's food is good, everything like that. So you see the dynamic between Uncle Phil and Jeffrey in this episode a little bit more, just because you see where they're able to talk to each other and actually have a friendship. They're playing pool with each other, and you see how Jeffrey is very level-headed and saying, hey, give Will a shot, give Will a chance. You can see him, trying to do things or get better. Including, basically, it was to help him include Will in a lot more, to help Uncle Phil include Will. So Uncle Phil then proceeds to give Will a book, The Alchemist. Told him to read it. And that's you can see that's kind of like a peace offering and Uncle Phil's way of trying to help Will adjust to his environment now. So we're going to fast forward a little bit throughout the episode. We get to the point, Will is invited to go to a crawfish boil with Uncle Phil and Carlton. Uncle Phil is an alpha in the alpha fraternity. And they go to the crawfish boil, and Uncle Phil's brothers feel like he's a sellout. He's going to get the endorsement from one of the reverends there that pledged Alpha, and he like, outside of his line brothers, he like really is being ignored because they feel like he's a sellout. He's not, really there for them and the camaraderie with them, but just there for, hey, showing his face. Hey, I'm here. You guys endorse me type deal. So Carlton is not there for anything. He's just there to talk to like one of the head people that was over one of the funeral like one of the biggest funeral homes in the LA area. He's trying to get an internship with one of their programs. And so Will is like really there to understand what's going on, how to do it, how to do things, and where to do things at. So with that being the case, Will's like, he's trying to help. He's trying to understand. He's noticing things. He's just watching. And as Uncle Phil struggles to get this endorsement, Will is like, what can I do? So he he basically be himself. He went on stage and asked his Uncle Phil to show him what they do. And that helped Uncle Phil get the endorsement because Uncle Phil got on stage, showed him how to step, started stepping, and, they did their thing. He did his thing, feeling good. And the Reverend finally was like, all right, that's who I was missing. And, he got the endorsement, and it just a feel-good moment. Carlton noticed it, and, the jealousy grew because, I guess Uncle Phil is like Will's the son he never had, or that's the idea that you get with with the dynamic between Uncle Phil and Will. And of course, that's like his actual son is like missing out on his dad because, he's giving his dad energy to his cousin who he really don't fool with. So that's that dynamic there. When they get back to the house, throughout this whole time, Aunt Viv and Hillary, basically, Aunt Viv found out what Hillary posted on social media, and they had their little falling out. Like, their dynamic is so strong and so different because Hillary is an artist with her cooking, And Viv is an artist. And, basically she gave that up, for her family. And Hillary throws it in her face every chance she gets. So you can see that Aunt Viv is struggling with the idea that she's not doing art anymore. She's an art teacher, but she's not doing what her passion is. And that's what Hillary keeps throwing in her face and saying that she doesn't want to do. She wouldn't want to be like you in that regard, because it's like she wants to do her passion. So that's where their dynamic clashes. So now we at the point where Will has a basketball game and Carlton has a lacrosse game at the same time. So the family has to decide on what game to go to. So the plan was to one half go to Will's basketball game and then the other half go to Carlton's lacrosse game. So they started off at Will's basketball game and they never left. Will didn't start the game, but he got in like it was 8-0 and he got in the game. And, ultimately Bel-Air Academy beat Malibu Prep, which was the same, if you remember the episode from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it was one of the big games from there. I don't forget his name, but he like played on the Cosby Show, played on a lot of things. The guy from the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But anyway, the dynamic was that the parents just went to Will's game. So Carlton noticed, like during his game, he realized nobody was there. So he was like, where is everybody? And he had a terrible game. He ended up getting ejected from the game and went to the locker room and snorted some Xanax, I guess it was. Some white powdery substance is what he did. And he went to the gym and realized that his folks was at the game watching Will play and didn't come to his game. And that just infuriated him and he stormed out. That is the episode 3. But I just wanted to kind of bring up the relationships a little bit and what I think about. First off, the soundtrack is amazing. Robert Glasper and I can't remember the other person. Robert Glasper and Terrence Martin ended up scoring this series together. They doing an awesome job, man. You hear everything in there. Like the music in this series is perfect. What else you got? I think they did the best job with Aunt Viv, the dark skinned Aunt Viv, from the, trying to make it as close as possible to the original characters. Of course, Uncle Phil is completely different from the original. Hillary is completely different from the original. The kids actually match the parents this time. Let me see. Ashley, Carlton is Carlton. The dynamic, the relationship between Will and Carlton. They are really getting like a lot deeper into it, as far as like you can see where things are clicking. You can see where things like where they're clashing and why. And you can understand why. You just seeing how bad it can get. Like it's like bad but times 10. Hillary is completely different. She's not as ditzy as she was on the original series. She's actually has some sense and talented. But she's still fly. She still can dress and everything like that. And then you got Ashley. Ashley really wasn't in these first 3 episodes. Like she showed her face. She was in them, but she didn't have a lot. It wasn't a lot of focus on her. So and then you got Jeffrey. Jeffrey is a smooth guy. And, in his parts, he's like a smooth and serious guy. And, that's cool. That's cool the way they did it. So, me personally, I'm excited about Bel-Air. I'm excited about what they're doing. Will Smith and his production company, Westbrook, was heavily involved in making this happen. It all started from the trailer that was basically the trailer of a dramatic version of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was made by Morgan Cooper back in 2019, the rendition of the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Will loved it. A lot of people loved it, and that's where we at now. So I enjoy it, man. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting to watch, and you can see and you can tell where things click with Will and where the change happens. Or where the change is happening. And it kind of gets you in the mindset of how would you be in that position? How would things go for you being taken from your home into this new world and new opportunities? You immediately pushed into a place where the top people of that city are a phone call away, and you're immediately put into that environment. So it's kind of cool to see the dynamic and the growth for Will and how he fits himself in and still able to be his self. So Bel-Air comes out every Thursday, and we're just going to review the episode. This one was kind of long just because we was going through 3 episodes, but I'm gonna review the episodes. I think they've got picked up for 2 seasons already, so I'm not really sure how long the seasons are, but the next one will be episode 4. So appreciate you guys listening, watching this. Like the video, share it, subscribe to it. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the first 3 episodes. How you feel about it. Do you think it's gonna succeed? Do you think how do you feel about Carlton and Will's relationship, and everything like that? So let me know in the comments below. And I'm out. Peace.